So I really wanted to do this. It's so satisfying. Dunk the whole thing in there. There we go. Let it foam up.
What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. So the other day I was underneath the hood of the Land Cruiser just admiring the infinite beauty of the 2UZ until I noticed this guy. Looks like some green fuzz growing out of my positive terminal. Definitely some corrosion and will need to be taken care of. Battery terminal corrosion is the worst. Not only will it create this type of like foamy, like fuzzy stuff on the edges of your battery terminal, it actually eats away at it. So eventually you'll have a broken battery terminal, which you'll have to replace. Trying to clean this stuff before with like a metal brush and then some electronic grease, but as you can see, it still comes back, which is really annoying. And now I think I actually have some on the negative terminal as well. So instead of doing the same thing over and over again with the same results, this time I'm going to try this guy. From what I hear, baking soda mixed with a little bit of water eats up the corrosion on the battery terminals pretty easily. So I guess we'll find out. Let's take off the battery terminal. But before we get started, we always want to use some gloves when we're dealing with corrosion because, you know, safety first. The nut. There we go. Not too bad as far as the corrosion goes. Actually, it's mainly on the cable itself and not on the terminal. So I'll make sure to clean this guy out. But before we do that, let's do the negative terminal as well. Same thing as the positive. Loosen the cables with your 10 mil and remove. So this one is actually not too bad at all. I think a nice clean should be good to go. As you can see, I removed the entire battery from the Land Cruiser. You don't really have to remove the entire battery. However, I find it a little bit easier because I'm cleaning the cables itself to dunk it into a cup of water with the baking soda already in it. So in case you were wondering, baking soda is actually really cheap. I got this little box here, I think from Walmart, and it was 68 cents. And it should be enough to do maybe about 300 batteries. Just in case you don't know where to get this, I'll leave a link in the description down below. Let's get the baking soda in. I don't really know how much to pour in. It's more of like a art, not a science. But I did use warm water, so hopefully that helps mix up the baking soda. Maybe a little bit more. I'm gonna be generous today. That looks pretty good, pretty mixed. Now, let's dunk it in. Oh yeah, you can see it already bubbling up, killing all the corrosion. I'll just leave it in there for a little bit. Actually, nope. Let's see how that goes. So this little cup is definitely a good idea, so you don't get a mess everywhere. I've seen other people do it where they just kind of pour water and baking soda onto the battery itself and then it splashes everywhere else. If you do it this way, you don't make a mess on your battery or in your engine bay or anything like that, especially with this corrosive material. So that actually looks pretty decent now. Okay. We'll probably have to rinse that off with a little bit of water. But before we do that, let's do the negative terminal as well. To lift this guy up a little bit. Dunk it in. So this one wasn't that bad. It didn't fizz as much as the positive end. But since I'm already here, might as well. So for the battery terminal, what I'm going to do is use a little bit of paper towel, dunk it in the baking soda, and then just wipe it clean. I don't want to pour the water on the battery top. This should do it. Oh yeah, see, it's foaming up right there, eating all the corrosion, which is really nice. Anything I have here, just kind of wipe down anywhere that there's corrosion. Oh yeah, right here too a little bit. So then with a clean paper towel,
Just wipe off everything. Make sure there's no water left on there. Baking soda, mainly your battery acid or corrosion. The next step to cleaning these terminals is to use one of these guys. Now, these guys are the battery terminal cleaners. If you don't have one, I'll leave a link in the description down below, but basically it has a bunch of little like wire brush heads inside, and what you do is kind of put it on there, turn it a few times, and then it basically takes off the top layer of junk, so you have a nice and clean contact patch. So I'm gonna do it for this guy as well. Once you've got your battery terminals cleaned and prepped, ready for the cables to go back on, you want to use a little bit of anti-corrosion stuff. I've used this in my other cars that had corrosion issues, and it's prevented it pretty well. No further corrosion. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description down below. Let's get some of this stuff on here. Same thing with the negative. Once you've got the anti-corrosion stuff on here, you can wipe off some of the excess that you sprayed on the battery surface. Keep things clean. Same thing with the negative. Before I pour this stuff away, as a bonus, I have some corrosion on the battery tie down. So I really wanted to do this. It's so satisfying. Dump the whole thing in there. There we go. Let it foam up. Ta-da! All better. Now we have the battery installed back into the Land Cruiser with the battery tie down. Before we put the cables onto the terminals, you want to clean the inside of the cables itself, and with this little tool, if you have it, it comes off and it has this little wire brush thing on the inside. So you want to scrub in there, do that, and then apply a little bit of the anti-corrosion stuff in there as well, which I have already done. So next step, we're going to put the negative terminal back on, positive as well. Ta-da. Now let's tighten them down. So you want these guys just snug, not too tight. You don't want to over tighten them and strip them. There's no need for that. Now that the terminals are nice and clean, you should have a really, really good contact, you know, equating to, like, you know, let's say if you're driving at night, you press on the brakes, sometimes your headlights get a little dim. This will actually help with that. So that's pretty much it as far as cleaning your battery terminals with baking soda goes. Last step you'll have to do is reset your clock and your radio stations. Yes, I know it is a pain, but it is something that you'll have to do. And we'll see how these guys pan out. If there's corrosion that comes back, if there isn't. I mean, like, it's baking soda. It's something I use for cooking, so who knows. But I'll keep you guys posted and I'll let you know what happens in the near future.